Welcome to Jump Shots from the Goal Line. We got a kind of oldie but goodie for you today because we got no Benny Diamond Hands. Just me and Henny back on the saddle together, just like old times. Henny, your game obviously just ended. I think it ended. I turned it off after Zach Wilson was
It's
just an
over.
absolute buffoon. Chargers defense finally woke up. That rookie from USC that you guys got, I can never say his name right, like Tui
I'm still
Palatu or
learning.
something.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right in there. You're right in there.
what a gem of a second round pick that you guys got there. Pass rush is finally waking up. What are your thoughts, man? Are you happy with the win or still got some things to work on?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. That was not a fun football game. If anybody watched it, like there really wasn't anything fun about that. I wouldn't expect anybody to be excited about that. Sorry
Mhm.
that that's your primetime Monday game. If you're a Chargers fan, which I am, put the shirt on today. Then then you're happy that you had Bosa healthy, getting two and a half sacks, Mac two and a half, and then as you mentioned,
Tui
Futu.
Palatu, I think.
Yeah, like somewhere in there, like that. I'm still learning. I even heard him say it a couple times tonight. And I'm like, say that to yourself, say that to yourself.
Yeah.
But he got in the party too and got a couple of sacks, and then you could even see those guys chomping at the bit at the end of the game. I mean, that Jets offense is bad, man. So Hesse's, jump on in for your Jets minute. You guys still suck. That's why we don't talk about you when you win a game because you suck.
Well,
Zach Wilson sucks. Like they just suck.
let it
It's
be
not a good
known.
team.
Let
Yeah,
it be
it's just
known.
not
We invited Hesse on here and he declined. So that should tell you
yeah.
everything he about his Jets fandom. He's just running away from a fight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we can't. What are we talking about here? Like, yeah,
Dude,
but so
Zach Wilson's rough, bro. He is I don't know what happened to him, to be honest with you, because at BYU, like he was the guy. Like he was impressive as hell. In the NFL, man, like that those boys just move a little bit quicker, I think. And it's just he has never been able to develop that quick trigger.
yeah, he just does not look good or confident. But I mean, it's a bad offensive line. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like not a good offensive line. Brees Hall's nasty, man. He hits
Oh,
that
he's
B
great.
button and like he's spinning out of tackles. I mean,
Yeah.
he's nice. Derwin was flying around the field. He looked good. Garrett Wilson's a really talented player. Like there was some fun like little moments, but
Mhm.
that's just a bad like the Jets. They don't. It doesn't feel like they have a plan. Or like their plan is very restricted by the play of their quarterback. Whatever comes first, it
I
doesn't
feel
look good.
bad. I feel bad for Jets fans because that defense is actually pretty
Yeah,
nasty.
it's really good.
I mean, if it wasn't for just stupid errors by the quarterback, I think that would have been more of a game because that defense was right there in it, making it tough on Herbert. But man, when you can run the ball that they can, you can stay somewhat in games. But when you can't throw the ball to save your life, man, this is what happens. The fact that they are 4-4 is impressive. That's all in the defense. That's all on Brees Hall, but they are not going to be good unless Aaron Rodgers' voodoo magic gets him back earlier than everybody thinks. I mean, the guy's walking around, so I mean,
Mhm.
apparently science works. I guess I don't know that ayahuasca be hitting.
Well, everybody says whatever they're doing in Germany, and like
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it from different avenues too, where it's not even just drugs. Like there's just people saying that, like there is that part of it. I think there is like an element of that, but I've also heard that like we just do things weird, and I'm sure the Chargers at the forefront of the last of like how you get people healthy. I'm positive of that as we put Joshua Palmer on
Yeah,
the IR. You know what I mean? So we're
God,
down to you saw Jalen Guyton out there today, or yeah, is that his name?
yeah,
I don't
Jalen
know. The
Guyton.
old yeah, like we're like literally throwing like we're throwing him the ball. So I'm not really that optimistic about the Chargers, to be honest. It just tells me how bad the Jets are. And they went down 14.
Yeah,
Like a punt return was devastating for them. Like they're the type of team that cannot have that happen. A punt return for a touchdown is an absolute death blow for a Jets offense that you just know isn't going to give you more than 14 any given night.
who would have thought that the TCU wide receiver that the Chargers drafted, the best one would have been the kick returner? I mean, the guy
It
was
might be.
he
He
was
might
nasty
be.
in college though, so
Yeah.
like big
He
difference
might
maker for you guys.
Yeah, he has been, and I think it's to be. I don't know. We'll just see with Quentin Johnson. I'm like not giving up on him just because I think they took him knowing he was going to be a project. There was
Sure,
some developmental like skill type stuff that I think that they wanted to slowly bring along
yeah.
behind Mike Williams, behind Palmer, And so, but he's gonna have to step up, man. And it doesn't look like he's ready right now because I mean he's just not catching a lot of balls, but he was getting some attention from Sauce, and Sauce is
Yep.
allowed to just full on cheat out there. By the way, I don't know what it is with Jets cornerbacks and like why. I mean, I watched Revis cheat for years, and now Sauce just comes in the league and is allowed to do whatever he wants, and he gets like
And
offensive pass interference calls that no one in the league gets.
and cue the
Um,
Hesse text as he listens to this, by the way.
yeah, that's fine. Send it, dude. Fire it off. I mean, just watch the tape, dude. Watch the tape. I mean, I know he's not watching the game, but had he watched the game, he would know what I
Yeah.
was talking about. You know what I mean?
Dude, Sauce gets away with he gets a lot of offensive PI. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I've never seen it more from a corner.
like
It's
he's
so
taking charges.
strange. Yeah.
He's basically like flopping. I don't understand what's going on. It's
Do we
wild.
need to check to
He,
see if he has a European passport? Maybe. I mean,
yeah, maybe there's something there, but he does. He gets away with a lot,
it's
and
strange.
I wasn't even worried about it tonight. But I mean, just in general, if you watch those Jets games, something to
Hmm.
keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, both offensive lines. You mentioned it. Not great. I feel like Herbert got hit a lot. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
gets hit a lot every game. But then the Jets, that's been a running issue for a few years. What do you think for the Chargers at least? What do they got to do going forward? Is it something fixable? Is like just quick play or what's going on?
I mean, you see, they try to get that quick game going, but it's just not really dynamic. And
Hmm.
especially if you're not, I mean, look, we started. I mean, you can. If you watch, did you get to watch Gerald Everett tonight? Can you see where you get mad at a Gerald Everett if you just watch him swing and miss on blocks, miss like chips that he's supposed to have? He
Yeah,
turns everything into, he's like, oh, no, well, I'll just flip my hips and turn it into a pass play and I'll become an eligible receiver. He just wants to be a wide receiver, dude. He's not a tight
yeah,
end. He's like, we line him up at fullback, which is terrifying. He's not reliable there either. There's pieces missing. I don't think there's a lot of optimism. I mean, like, could it end up being a team that somehow scratches and claws its way into a playoffs as like other teams slip and fall with injuries? Maybe we get lucky. But I mean, if you look around the room, I mean, we could like, can we pass the Browns? Yeah, maybe. But I mean, I don't think there's anything to be really excited about.
yeah, dude. I mean, you got Herbert, right? And if he doesn't get killed back there, you're always in a game,
Yep.
basically. Eckler's pretty dynamic when he does have a lane or when he does get some blocking in front of him on a pass. But yeah, your bugaboo's always just been the injury bug. And I mean, with that offensive line, it's got to be kind of scary to be Justin Herbert. But with that said, like you mentioned, if there's a few injuries along the way, if Deshaun Watson decides he doesn't want to play football again, there's always that room, right? Chiefs have shown that they are beatable. That the Broncos beat them. They haven't looked great the last few weeks. I mean, you're in a
Raiders are
division
back
where,
though.
dude, fully back, like
Bear down.
smoking victory cigars after beating the Giants, for God's sakes. Like, that team is such a mess. What a nightmare organization. Can you imagine being drafted by the Raiders?
No, but but like I guess like some respect on Mark Davis for at least like spending the money he doesn't have and just being like, this guy sucks. Like this guy has to go.
Yeah.
So I
That's
mean, some kudos to him.
That's my thought. Is like I remember reading a year ago that the Raiders were cash poor, but they just keep hiring and firing these coaches like they got money. So I don't understand the financials of it. It was very predictable that that homeboy wasn't going to last. And it's just always funny the things that come out after the fact, right? Like the fact that Antonio Pierce was talking about the Giants Super Bowl in the locker room and he got pissed that it was the Super Bowl against the Patriots and he told him to knock it off. Like, dude, like check your ego at the door. That guy is just a perennial loser of a head coach. And I'd be surprised if he gets any more looks, but it is the NFL, so he'll probably get another look somewhere.
Yeah, if that's true though, that is like the worst look, right? Like
Yeah.
basically just being like and holding on to like I mean that's like a close the yearbook situation too. Like that's like holding on to something from 8 years ago,
For a
whatever it
team you
is
don't
now.
even coach
For
for
a team that
anymore.
that isn't, yeah, it's not cutting your checks at all. Has
Yeah.
nothing to do with it. And then like you brought on Antonio Pierce, like you hired him onto your staff, which by the way, that guy failing forward is incredible. He literally submerges ASU's program from underneath Herm
Sleeper
Edwards.
cell, dude.
And then, yeah, dude, I freaking love Antonio Pierce. And then he shows up, and now he's a Raiders head coach, and he's won an NFL football game. Like it's,
Do we love Antonio Pierce? I mean, just one
I,
Wildcat to another. That's a weird subject for me because
it is a super weird subject.
the
If you
fact
want
that
to,
he
if you want
did
to explain it,
coach,
go ahead. Yeah,
the fact that he did coach ASU and then he also talked shit about U of A while he was there, which I get it, dude. You know, you got to boost your position within a program, and if you got to, fuck on your alma mater to do that, I guess sure. But before that, he was kind of a legend and very beloved in Tucson. I know that he didn't leave the best way, and I know that he said some things about the coaching staff that haven't gone over well, but like to just bury your alma mater because you're working for their biggest rival. And then, yeah, like you said, failing forward, just burying that program with illegal shit, moving on to the Raiders, and then giving a halftime speech about the Patriots getting shut down and then replacing the guy that shut you down. I mean, hey, I don't know, dude. I don't know if to be impressed or just be like, man, this guy's a piece of shit.
I will tell you for sure, I am not hiring Antonio Pierce as my assistant manager of anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I do not want him to be the guy right below me because he will kill you. Like, you are dead
He will stab you in the back.
yeah, if you turn around, you see Antonio Pierce, you're already dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's too late for you.
Yeah, I mean, hey, good on him though, getting the first win. It was against a Giants team that, losing Danny Dimes, which who's to say if that's a good thing or not. They did kill Tyrod Taylor the same way that the Chargers did a couple years ago. So that guy's ribs aren't safe one bit. But hey, they got the dub. Good on them. That division, I'm not gonna say it's wide open because it's the Chiefs, so like they could turn it on any second. But they do look like,
Still Chiefs Kingdom.
yeah, it is. But they do look a little bit more vulnerable than they have in the past. That offense is not as potent as it has been, but we saw in the playoffs, dude, it didn't look potent at all last year. And then playoffs come around and they're just like a freaking wagon. So I don't know, man. Do you think the Chargers stand a chance now that they're 4-4?
No, not to get back and win the division. No, like that's what I mean. I think it's purely a wild card play for them at this point. There's no reason
Yeah.
to believe from what. Look, that is a good Jets defense. Like there's two really good defensive lines tonight. So
Yeah.
those offensive lines could look better on any given week than versus. But the reality of the NFL is there's not. I don't see a lot of teams where I go like this is a bad defensive line. Like
Yeah.
those dudes are in this league now, and they seem like they're in this league at like a pretty healthy clip across the board.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's a playoff run. I mean, like at best from a wild card standpoint, and then you hope you get a 28-point lead and hold on this time. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, for sure, dude. It is tough though in the AFC. I mean, not to gloat too much, but the AFC North, if the playoffs
yeah,
started today, all four teams are getting in. Ravens look like a wagon. They dominate the NFC. Bengals are starting to hit their stride, which is scary. Steelers, some way, somehow, just continue to win games on TJ Watt's back. And then the Browns, sneaky good, man. That defense is nasty. Deshaun Watson hasn't been dynamic, but he can win you a game, I guess. So it's going to be tough for the Chargers, but hey, like you said, we're always an injury away. Browns have shown not to be super healthy. Bengals, I mean, Joe Burrow's bottom half could collapse at any point. And the Steelers, God, if karma, not even karma, but luck prevails, like their luck is due to run out. So we'll see, dude. The rest of the AFC, look at the AFC, not AFC North, but the AFC East. The Bills are currently like I think they might be second now with the Jets losing, but even then,
yep.
they don't look good. I think it's time too, by the way, that we have a conversation about Josh Allen. Is Josh Allen a little bit overrated? I think in years past, he's been magic because he's been able to run around so much, but now they don't let him do that as much. And when he has to sit in the pocket, he's not great. He's pretty turnover prone. Am I wrong in that?
Well, I mean, you're definitely not wrong in that he's turnover prone. I mean, the numbers are what the numbers are. He's turning the ball over.
Yeah.
I think it's tough with him, but I think it's one of those. I think it's just like more that interesting conversation about, what clicks when you have a quarterback that can run going right. Like, right, we're going to see. I think like for the rest of like Lamar's career, we're going to have one off here just mixed in there, and we're going to be like, oh,
Sure.
what's wrong with Lamar? What's wrong with Lamar? And it could just be like the offense being out of rhythm, and he's having to carry it more, and he runs more, he gets hit more, the ball comes out, and he fumbles 3 more times that season than normal, and
He's got
now he's
10
turnover
fumbles this
prone.
year, by the way.
Yeah, so it's like, and then he's turnover prone or whatever, and you have bad turnover luck. So I don't. I tend to believe that I like what I see from Josh Allen. Like, would I still take that guy to like lead my team in a 1 game scenario? Yes. Does it look a little messy over the course of a season this year? It definitely does, and he definitely deserves criticism for turning the ball over. Like, I don't think he's like unassailable by any means. Like, I definitely
Yeah.
think there's room for criticism with him. I just think it's tough. Like, I think you have to live and die with letting your quarterback be mobile in this league. I mean, a lot of these offenses just do not look good. Like, I don't see a passing offense where it's like just a pure passing offense outside of Mahomes, and they still really count on his legs
Yeah.
sneakily.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just don't know how you win in this league without a quarterback that moves, which is why I'm watching Caleb Williams on Saturday going like, I'm still taking that guy like first
Number
overall
one.
every
Yeah.
single time. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, man. I get it. The Bills haven't done him any favors either. Like they have no semblance of a run game whatsoever.
Zero.
Like
Yeah.
it's gross. Stephon Diggs is phenomenal, but if you can bracket him with a safety over the top, and have a decent cover corner on him, it's going to be tougher sailing. I mean, he's still going to get his, but then they don't really. I mean, Gabe Davis is a decent number two, but he hasn't popped off like he did last year. Dalton,
0 on Sunday. Yeah.
yeah,
0 yards, 0 catches.
Dalton Kincaid is a rookie, so you can't really count on him as much. So I think we're just seeing a little bit of roster building that hasn't worked out. And then Von Miller, they put a lot of money in him. He hasn't really popped off like he has in the past. He's older. So it's going to be interesting with the Bills, but they're another team too, like the Chiefs. They could blow up at any point. So the AFC is weird, man. The Patriots suck, so we don't have to worry about them. But the Dolphins, when they're not playing a contender, they look incredible. But when they play a contender, they look very beatable, right? Like we saw it in Frankfurt this weekend. Couldn't really do much against the Chiefs. They held Tyreek Hill kind of in check. And Tua, if you can get pressure on him and get him moving around a little bit, he's not as dangerous. It's just when he has a clean pocket that he can spread it out to Waddle to Hill, and then he's really dangerous. But we saw that kind of noodle arm come out a little bit this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely saw the noodle arm and all the jokes were out, and yeah, I saw everybody sinking their teeth into right back to the old jokes.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
Manti Te'o's girlfriend wide open, blah, blah,
man,
blah.
it happens fast, doesn't it? Like Tua was king of the world just like 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was back to, and this is why I was like, I'm not going to get into this, dude. I'm not doing the Tua Herbert thing because Tua had like a couple good games. I'm not going to like flip everything and be like, would you rather have this giant guy with a golden rocket arm, or would you rather have this guy who's timing up some routes with Tyreek Hill? I'm not playing that game, but they're all really good. But like I mean, but I'm open to the criticisms about Herbert at this point too. Like there's weeks where it doesn't look great. This week he just looks like he was just a game manager tonight, which I think was really the smart play. Whatever. I
Yeah.
don't know with quarterback play, man. I honestly I'm starting to get a little confused. It's almost like how I feel about how we talk about the NBA. When we start talking NBA and we're like, oh, regular season, this, that, like, what are we really seeing? I'm getting to like get really blurred lines about the quarterback play, and the only thing that makes sense to me is Patrick Mahomes. Lamar also looks really great this year, so I would
Yeah.
actually put him separate from the crop, and then like everybody else outside of that, I don't know how you're really separating any of these guys.
Yeah. Lamar does look incredible. He does, like I said, he has 10 fumbles, but a lot of those are coming on RPOs where just the running back and him can't connect
Yeah, the
and
read.
it
Yeah.
just turns into a weird fumble. And then there's been a couple of times where like our left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, he's missing a gear or something coming back from injury and he's getting smoked kind of. There's been a couple just, forced fumbles that way. But other than that, man, Lamar looks good. Like he's making throws that if he was Patrick Mahomes, he'd be all over Sports Center. But for some reason, he doesn't get as much play as Mahomes because he's, not on the Chiefs. His tight end's not dating Taylor Swift. But he's been phenomenal. He's got the team 7-2, and he's 18-1 against NFC. He's gone against the Lions when they were, leading the NFC. He's gone up against some of the Seahawks. Seahawks were, killing teams. Him, Geno finally playing well. They that Ravens team just held the Seahawks offense to like under 200 yards of offense. Like it was insane what that defense can do. But Lamar's leading the way, man. Like he is killing teams with his arm, not as much with his legs as we've seen in the past. And that's a great development for that Ravens team because that defense is nasty. I think they're leading the league in sacks right now. The secondary's holding up really well, and they're just pummeling teams when they get the chance. And I told my buddy Tyler when I went to the Cardinals game, and he's like, "Well, why is this game so close?" They just don't give a shit when they play bad teams, and they have kind of that
Yeah, I
good
wouldn't
team
worry about them.
mentality where they're like, "Look, we can play half-assed and still win this game and save our energy for a big matchup." Because when they've played good teams, the Bengals, the Browns, the Seahawks, the Lions, I can't believe all those four teams are good teams all of a sudden, but here we are. They've murdered them. They have not looked bad one bit, and I don't think it's hyperbole to say that they're probably the best team in the NFL right now.
I don't think so either. I don't think it's a stretch, but I think it's what is interesting though is how well he's performed against, and it's like people that don't get to see him
Mm-hmm.
obviously really struggle with him. What's weird is then you're going to then go back to the Browns and you'll end up playing a field goal game with the Browns.
Yep,
You know what I mean?
probably.
And you'll be like, "What is this?" But like if you've seen him
Yeah.
and you've seen it, like then it seems to be a different scenario. But no, no doubt they look really good, man. And I've I like always like giving you a hard time on here, but I love like good Lamar. Like
Yeah.
I think that's as fun as it like gets in football in terms of a watch. So I'm never rooting against the guy really, other than just to needle you. Like if you come on the show and you say 3 weeks in, it's the best team in the league, I'd sure as shit hope they lose the next Sunday. But outside of that, man, like I'm not got nothing against the Ravens, and they do look really good. I'm excited for them, man. That's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I like seeing the healthy Lamar.
9 games in, dude, they are kind of like identifying what their identity really is going to be. They're still a run heavy team. I think they're second in the league in rushing. They might be first now because they had damn near 300 yards of rushing on one of the top rush defenses in the league. But that's okay. Embrace your identity. But people forget, they hired Todd Monken in the offseason. It's going to take a little while for them to really gel and grasp that offense. And I think they're starting to do that. They have a really good mix out there where they can rush the ball at the goal line, but they can sling it on you on 3rd and 5 and get 20 yards. So we'll just have to keep seeing how they develop. I'm excited as a fan, obviously, but as somebody that analyzes game, like I don't see a lot of other teams much better than them because, like you're saying, the quarterback play in this league so far has been very lukewarm, very underwhelming, and so far Lamar looks very reliable. Outside of the fumbles, looks very good. That defense is really holding down its own. I can't think of many teams that look better. Like maybe the Eagles, but they have weeks where you're like, who the hell are these people? And then AJ Brown catches a 40-yard touchdown. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's going to be interesting. The Niners don't look as good. The Cowboys have weeks where you're just like, here's the Cowboys, you know.
Hmm.
But the next few games for the Ravens are going to be interesting too, because if you look at that schedule, it is not easy. They play like the Jags, the Browns, the Bengals. They play the Steelers again. They play the Dolphins. We'll see really what they're made out of the next few weeks for sure.
I think they're going to be all right. And I like that they're getting the running backs involved in the red zone again. I mean,
Yeah.
that's because to me that's what makes me like nervous is just I think you can run Lamar 20 to 20. Like right, he can there's like so much room for him to escape. Like
Yeah.
it's just a totally different game. And it's fine that like they designed some stuff from him in the goal line, but I that was like what was scary to me early on. I'm like, dude, this guy, like they still can't find a way to score without pounding Lamar. Like I'm
Hmm.
like they got to find another answer. Seems like they're starting to do that, and if they're doing that, then I think like to your point, I mean, because that threat's always there. It's just you
Yeah.
just don't always want to have to use it because he's your guy.
Yeah. And Gus Edwards has been incredible because there were a lot of rumors. I was spreading them, Derrick Henry this, Derrick Henry that. But, you can't help if the Titans owner doesn't want to sign off on selling their 1-year ticket. But,
Yeah,
sticking to what they had, Gus Edwards has like 5 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Keaton Mitchell, an undrafted guy, had like a 70-yard touchdown this past weekend. Like they look good, man. They look really, really good. So we'll see how the NFL shakes out. But to your point and what we've been saying all season, been kind of a shit season for a lot of teams. It's hard to get a real gauge on like who's who. Only a few teams are starting to separate and rise to the top. So but with that said, we got what, 9 more games, something like that. So
feels
a
like
lot
a
of football to
thousand.
be had. Yep. Going to the other side of the gridiron, the college football, man. How about them Cats, huh? Beating
So much,
3 ranked teams in a row.
so much fun, man. This is so much fun right now.
Who is this
I
team?
mean, I don't know, but I do wish Ben was here just so we could just s- slurp this up a bit more because I mean, this has been great. I mean,
Yeah.
Fafita continues to play really good football. The defense at the end of that game absolutely closing out by basically annihilating every single person. It looked like we were just obliterating everybody. They
Yeah.
literally were flying around, killing everyone. And like, granted, we had like just grabbed control of the game. They were in that position where everybody was going to tee off, just like we watched here on Monday night when Zach Wilson looks like a helpless doe in the meadow there. Same situation. Wildcats were teeing off, hitting everybody. We've talked about it. A huge room in the running back space. Like the running backs room is incredible. They got guys that are talented doing every which thing. T Mac is ridiculous week after week after week. Like that
Future top
catch,
10 pick, dude. Like,
that catch in the corner of the end zone. Like I, he just the ball touches his hand and it stops spinning. He
yeah.
catches it like a video game. I don't know what kind of hands this man has,
He's
but
got
like how
sticking,
that
dude.
ball, even you pause a video game, that ball still rotates. As soon as it touches T Mac's hand, that thing stops, man. It is
Yeah.
done moving. And that's what it was weird. I think that's why it fooled the referees, like on the
Yeah.
field, is like just generally speaking, you can't like catch the ball how and where he caught it and have
No
immediate
movement.
control,
Yeah.
and he did.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. The dude is weird.
I don't like saying this because it comes off weird, but like that dude is a specimen, like an actual
I know.
specimen, dude. He's 6'5", like, and he is definitely 6'5", and he jumps out of the gym. He's getting quicker every week, it seems like. And that connection with him and Fafita, dude, like, my God. Like, if I'm in the Big 12 right now watching these Wildcats, I'd get a little nervous if they can keep everybody together and pick up some players because that offense is nasty. I mean, they went into that game already beating 2 ranked teams. It would have been totally understandable to have a letdown game, right? Totally. With a young team, freshman quarterback, it would have made sense. But they went in there and they freaking took it to UCLA. And UCLA had like a top 10, top 5 defense in the country. And specifically against the run, they were stopping everybody. Well, guess what? Then the Wildcats came in with their just trio of backs and they freaking ran them ragged. I don't even know what else you can say about this team, dude. Like, Jonah Coleman, he is the second coming of MJD. He is so good. But then you even have just the other two guys that as soon as Coleman's off the field, they're still getting huge chunks of yards. And then that sets up the play action to T Mac, and you can't stop it. Then you also have Jacob Cowing, who's incredible, just killing guys. And like you said, it's not just an offensive team. You and I were joking around, texting back and forth. They were legitimately killing UCLA's quarterbacks. Like Garbers was on the ground just in agony. Then they put in the other guy. They take him out, and then they put in the one like their third string that just cannot make a throw, and they were killing that guy too. It was a sight to behold, dude. I've never seen a Wildcats team since like 2007 or like even Desert Swarm that just gets to the quarterback like this team does.
It's it's been so long since we've seen a physicality like this. I mean, it's been so long, and to be physically because and it's talked about in other circles, but when we won with Rich Rod, you still knew it was like we had some physical specimens like Khalil Tate,
Yeah.
right?
It was
So
speed,
like you have
right?
a guy, but it's speed, right? Yeah, exactly. But it's this guy, and like he's kind of a freak. But it was still just a lot of like misdirection. If you know the Rich Rod offense, you know what I'm talking about. But it's
Yep.
gadgety, it's gimmicky.
A lot of
I don't think,
RPO, a lot of
yeah, even though like that's what everybody in the NFL runs now is Rich Rod's like stuff. So it's not really gadgety anymore,
yeah.
but it is like predicated by movement, creating space, and getting guys in space and scoring. It was not. This is physical. Like this is line up, and like by the time DJ Williams comes in the game, like that like he's actually the closer now. Like right,
He's
like
a
they're still
big
mixing it.
dude too.
Yeah, but they're just coming in and they're like, hey, we're gonna run downhill until you guys quit.
Yes.
Like I mean, the other guys absolutely wear him out, right? Like they're the jab, 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 and then
Yep.
DJ Williams is coming in for the knockout punch, and then it seems like the defense is just following suit with his physical nature, and
Yep.
it is just completely different. And I'll tell you, I mean, I didn't want to say anything and I didn't want to jinx it, but you knew when Chip Kelly denied the white uniforms,
which he now is denying that he did that. What a
but
chump.
you knew the second that happened that Arizona was back as far as I was concerned. I'm like, if you're having to play the little games, if you want to
Yep.
get, which by the way, I love it actually. I actually don't even like hate Chip for doing this. Like I hope he did do it. I like that it's like that to me is says he respects this or what we're
Yeah.
doing.
He's
He's
nervous.
like, no, man, I'm not I can't have you doing all that. He's like, I can't, we can't and that means he's like feeding into it. And this is what college football is supposed to be about. I like all this dumb stuff, right? We're going to probably get into the story with the bigger picture that's going on with some other great rivalries. But, with like UCLA, if they want to play a little chippy game with us, great. And as I have discussed on this podcast, we hammer UCLA on homecoming. That's
You
what we do
called it,
around here.
dude. You really
That's
did.
what
You
we
called
do.
it.
We hammer UCLA at homecoming. They do not want to be here for that day.
Yeah, dude. And then they should have known too. The moment Gronk came out in a Arizona basketball jersey with no number or name on it, and he was just out there flexing on fools. He is a gem. Like he is literally
Yes.
just the best, dude. Like you can think he's annoying as shit, but deep down inside, he is what college football is all about, dude. And when he was like leading the band and shit like that, I was like, there's nothing cooler than having that kind of guy being an alumni of your school. And we're so lucky.
Agree. I think if you don't like Gronk, like you're purely just like being a hater.
Yeah,
He's just having fun the entire time.
that's it. He's
Like you just
he's
look
what we
over and
would
you're
do.
like, yeah, and you're like, that also looks fun. Now that's like stupid, but that looks fun. And like you just grinning ear to ear the whole time. So you're like, yeah, the idea of being mad or upset or frustrated. Now they did. I think the coverage was getting a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so like Gronk's there. I had no idea. Like, I'm like, you've shown him 47 times. Like, you can start storytelling like the turnaround story of Arizona football
Yeah.
or cutting to like what we're doing right. You can cover this game if you want, but they opted for Gronk coverage. I guess that gets better play, but which is whatever. But it was, yeah, dude, that was, man.
Dude, the man came out with a red solo cup in the Wildcat Walk. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
nothing cooler. Just nothing cooler.
yeah.
But I mean, you mentioned it too, though, right? The main storyline should be about Jed Fish, like
Mm.
the immense turnaround. I mean, when he came in there, they were on a 20-game losing streak. They won one game in his first season because he was working with Sumlin's recruits. Turned that team around in so quickly, and now they are a legitimate force. They're ranked. They're 23rd in the country and beating three back-to-back-to-back ranked teams. Like, how did this guy even do this, dude? I mean, because it's not just about recruiting. Like we've seen teams recruit. Look at Miami. Look at A&M. Now, granted, they're playing a different, maybe I want to say a different caliber team, but the Pac-12 is a wagon this year. But they are playing a tough schedule. But this guy has completely 180 the culture at Arizona. Like they have to put whatever offer on the table to keep this guy, right?
Yeah, they have to. You just have to keep this guy. Whatever is going on, whatever rumors fly around, this is a three-loss team that is only ranked behind other three-loss teams that go by the name of LSU and Notre Dame. And we
Yep.
know they both started as top 10 teams, as they always will. And that's the only team we're chasing in the three-loss department. And, we can sit here and spin the argument of what we could have been. But yeah, there's like no discussion. You have to find a way to keep Jed Fish here. And I'm just hoping he really wants to be here. I mean, that's really what
Seems
you
like
have to
it.
hope at the end of the day. Yeah. And you have to hope that if he is going to leave, it's for like the job, not a job. Losing him to a job, I think, hurts a lot more than losing him to the job. The job, presumably, he has to at least coach here another year to continue
Yeah.
this development. And
Another
doesn't mean he
perfect
has to be
season.
better next year, but like at least has to like continue the momentum, if you will.
Yeah, my favorite thing, by the way, to do after big Arizona wins like this is to peruse the opposing team's message boards. And
Oh,
there's nothing funnier than watching UCLA fans be like, man, we should have really hired Jed Fish instead of Chip Kelly. You think we can pull him in next year? You think he'd want to go to the Big Ten? You think he can pull Noah Fafita and T Mac with him? Just like, guys, you are just living in your own wet dream. Like, just stop. you know, like
that is the best, though, right? You're right. It's the
the guy's
best.
not going to jump from Arizona to UCLA. Like he's been there, done that. You missed your shot. So, but yeah, there's nothing better. I did it the week before too. Like when we beat Oregon State, I looked at Oregon State's board and they were pissed. But I also took it a step further because I'm just a real sicko, and I looked at USC's board, and they remember I said last week, like they were like having their own wet dream, like, oh my God, like it's time to throw the NLI money over at T-Mac and Fafita and we'll be fine. Well, no, buddy, your defense is still going to suck ass. So we'll
They
see
did
what
fire
happens there.
Grinch though, right?
They did. Yeah, they
They
finally finally bit the
finally,
bullet.
dude, it was the 1 millionth point that put him over the edge, I guess. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
he must have given up 10,000 points in his time at UCLA, right? 3-year, 2-year run, 10 million point.
Yeah. I saw a stat today that USC has given up the same amount of points, I think, in like 3 games that Iowa has in 2 years. So I think the natural course of action is that tweet I sent you, where some team has to hire Brian Ferentz and also Alex Grinch and just let them lead a team and see what happens. See if 2 negatives create a positive.
I mean, that is what we want to see, though. Like in some capacity, right? Like in the fact that USC and Iowa. I mean, we get to see them play though now. That's the great part. And I'm assuming USC probably doesn't fix all their defensive woes in 1 year.
No
Uh,
way.
so we're going to eventually get to see at least some form of this, which is very exciting.
Come on,
Iowa with the
ASU.
10-7 win over Northwestern, by the way.
Come on, ASU.
Incredible
Don't
run
be
on
cowards.
these unders.
Come on,
Incredible
Dilly.
run.
Fix your staff. Hire both of those geniuses. By the
I
way,
know.
ASU just getting dog walked by Utah. My God.
Yeah.
What a team in shatters.
That is the one game I have fearful on the schedule still.
Yes.
Just to round out, right? It's Colorado, feel really good. Colorado seems to really be spiraling, which I think if you really caught the tone of what we were saying early in the season, I think Ben had a little bit of panic from the media push, but I think the rest of us, Big Pod actually remained calm. We had fun with the Dion thing and ultimately kept saying, I think, like, hey, the shoe's going to drop, dude. Relax. Everybody,
Yeah.
like, let them have their run. Like, just enjoy this. Like, this is not sustainable when you don't have guys on the either side of the line. This
Yeah.
will run its course. We promise. And here we are. So that one, I'm not discounting them. It's still going to be a tough game. Arizona State, it's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. If Arizona can somehow find a way to be even competitive in that Utah game, I'd be ecstatic with a 2-1 in a competitive game. If they can somehow get 3-0 out of that, I mean, I can't. I'd be over the moon.
This is how I look at it, right? Colorado, we should be able to run all over that team, right?
Yeah.
And like we were saying before, you set up the play action, you should be able to have some big plays. The defense has been getting on everybody's ass, so Shador should be a little fearful for his life.
He's
already
running
hurt.
he's running away all the time. He's like playing the game backwards now.
Yeah. So we should beat Colorado. You're right. I think it is at Colorado, which dealing
It
with
is at noon.
elevation, blah blah blah. We'll see how that goes. But then, yeah, Utah, they got guys. That defense is legit, but they do not have any kind of quarterback play. So if you can stop the run, make it tough on them, that could bode well. But then, yeah, ASU, like I get what you're saying. One of the biggest rivalries in the pack, but goddamn, are they terrible? They're a bad team. Feel bad for your boy Borgay. I don't think he's even the quarterback anymore. But
He can't stay healthy. Every time he's on the field, he gets hit and gets his leg twisted up. He's got a high ankle sprain now. He just can't stay healthy. Like I think they have the same problem. I think he's like Shador, but like a little less athletic, and he's just not like Shador's escaping by this much, and Trenton just wasn't quite making it. But both of those guys are playing the game like, yeah. That move that every quarterback has, like once Russell had it, that little flip of the shoulder to like peel out, and like every single quarterback, there's some quarterbacks that literally feels like they're doing that 25 times a game.
Lamar
In Arizona
Jackson.
State and Colorado's, offensive line are putting their quarterbacks in those positions.
Yeah, I love too, by the way, before we move on to more college football, but the fact that Dion is already saying, yeah, we're going to get rid of some guys in the offseason. We're going to replace some of these guys. Like, look, Dion, I love a lot of what you've done, right? You've brought a little bit of hype to Boulder. But goddamn, dude, you got to work on your bedside manner in season. I get it in the off season. You got to kind of comb through who's good, who's not. But in season, brother, you got to let these guys ride. You got to be with them in the trenches. You can't be telling them they're going to lose their job already. That's a tough look.
It is tough. That is tough. Gosh, man, what's funny though is it reminds me of like what you're saying with just the way the college game has changed. That fan bases can sit there and be like, what if you think we can get Fish and then flip T-Mac and flip Fafita and he
Yeah.
can be on our team next year? Like that actually can happen.
Yeah.
So like when you say it, I mean, it still might be crazy, but it just the fact that it's possible is going to make people say it all the more often.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to dream bigger because Dion did it once and flipped it over and won 4 games early in a season. Everybody thinks they're going to be able to like flip their entire roster and magically save all these. That's not an easy job, man. Like that's why what Fitch has done again is like mind
Insane.
blowing.
We're
Yeah,
about to see how much NLI money Colorado truly has, because I have no doubt that Dion can attract the guys, but can they pay the guys?
yeah.
Arizona's got some deep pockets. They got some pretty big boosters. Art Moreno, the rest of them. So, excuse me, it's no surprise that they've been able to pull in some like impact transfers like Upshaw and like a few others. I don't know about Colorado, man. Like, I don't know how deep their pockets run. So we're about to find out as they go to the Big 12. But yeah, dude, the rest of college football, Dabo finally shutting up the caller from Spartanville or wherever the hell that guy was
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
Notre Dame proves that they suck ass as they usually do by this point in the season. What do you think, man? Did Dabo save his job?
I just think the Notre Dame Clemson rivalry is like what America needs. It's a win-win. Like, right? You're no matter what, you're leaving and you're like satisfied.
Yeah,
You're
true.
like some asshole lost. I knew it.
Yep, yep.
Um, I don't think Dave. I don't think Dabo's job was really like quite in
In
jeopardy
jeopardy.
just yet. I think that's yeah. I think that's a far stretch. Although the caller made a hell of a point, and it's a great call. Again, I highly encourage you listen to that call. Um, and I love that Dabo takes it personally. I mean, it is funny to like hear him do his thing, and he makes some good points. Like honestly, like when he is addressing it in terms of like what they've done there, and people need to chill out. But also, Dabo, you need to chill out. Like you also need to act like you've been there before, and you do not need to respond to callers. But that was a big win for him. I mean, they needed a feather in the cap this year just to
Yeah.
show that they still had like dogs in that locker room and they could play and they still had guys basically they seem to put that stamp on, and of course, yeah, then again, snuffed out a Notre Dame team that I never believed in, to be honest. But
No.
I know what Ben would say, and it's just don't bet on the ACC.
No.
So I hope you all avoided the ACC, and I stand pat with Ben on that. We do not touch the ACC. I don't understand what goes on over there.
No. There's
It's
no
wild.
semblance of
Yeah.
order over there at all. So there's no semblance of order also in the Big 12. I don't know if you noticed. Oklahoma got bounced by Oklahoma State. Um, I don't know what to make of that team at all. Gundy reigns supreme in the state of Oklahoma. He gets the last Bedlam win. Like they're saying ever. I guarantee there'll be another one. But that was a weird game.
And I mean, the last time we talked about Oklahoma State, I was saying how they beat Arizona State, and they were trying out quarterbacks during the game.
Yeah.
And it looked so bad. I mean, Arizona State looked terrible, and Oklahoma State looked just as bad. But one playing for, I have no idea how they beat this Oklahoma team. If this Oklahoma team was in fact supposed to be any good at all,
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that I keep saying when they peek into the Big 12, and I'm trying not to get too excited, is everything we were just talking about. If we keep this going, the Big 12 does not seem all that daunting at the moment
No.
in any capacity. There's not really one school that really is striking fear in the hearts here.
This is an Oklahoma State team that got freaking walloped by South Alabama. So, like, again, football's weird, man. Like, it's any given Saturday. But yeah, Oklahoma, what the hell? You're going into the SEC with not a whole lot of momentum. And then Texas barely pulling one over on Kansas State, too. So, Big 12, I have no idea what to make of you. Week in, week out. I'm very excited for next season, is what I'm trying to say.
This is why college football is still just the best, man. It's just
Yeah.
you just get this contrasting of styles. You don't know and then you can be doing whatever in your day. Like I might skip part of the morning games. You tap in, and Texas might be killing them, and then all of a sudden Kansas State's back in this game, and you flip back over to it, and it's just chaos all Saturday, and it's
It is.
absolutely great. Penn State got back on track, dominated. What else do we have going on out there? I'm trying to remember if there was anything else in big swings.
Yeah, not a whole lot of big swings, a lot of kind of like this makes sense games, I mean, Ohio
Hmm.
State won. I didn't even notice that they were number one in the nation. I don't know when they usurped freaking Georgia, but they did. Georgia beat Mizzou. That was a good game.
Yeah, it was closer.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, but the rest of it, man, I mean, a lot of it made sense. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of upsets besides like the Arizona one, which we already covered extensively. But going into next week, we have a huge game. I wish that Benny Diamond Hands was here to talk about it. But Michigan and Penn State, now Michigan does not have the upper hand of Connor Stallions, their superstar assistant. They did let him go. They said that he left voluntarily. I can only imagine how much voluntarily that was. And now there's talks that Harbaugh might get suspended indefinitely as well. So I don't know, man. This is kind of what we talked about last week or the week before that, I didn't think the NCAA was going to do anything. You didn't either, but Michigan might have. This is kind of the first domino to fall. Do you think Harbaugh is actually going to get suspended indefinitely?
I have no idea. I maybe. I don't know. You know what? I wish Ben was here, and I wish we would have both worn sunglasses like Connor Stallion and pretended to record the recording of this just to
Yeah.
tell him we're getting the upper hand. That's what I wish we could have done. But I don't know. This is all nonsense. I don't know if you can't prove anything. I don't really understand how they can sit this guy. And like as I have said with like the Arizona Ayton thing or what Kansas did, like if the NCAA doesn't come to you with anything really substantial, I don't understand why you would bend the knee in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would do quite the opposite. However, I don't know. It is an interesting wrinkle to me if Ohio State was somehow involved in the snitching of all of this. Then I think it gets just
That was a
hilarious
great
because that is
storyline.
what's that?
That was a great storyline that came out
Yeah,
this week.
just be true. Like I don't even care. Like it's one like I don't even want to research it. You just like see it and you're like, yeah, just screen grab that, keep it, and like just tell everybody that no matter what. But I mean I suspend him or not, I don't know. I wouldn't if I was Michigan. I'll just say that I wouldn't.
Yeah, let it
I
ride.
wouldn't. I wouldn't confess anything.
The
Deny, deny, deny.
CMU, the CMU wrinkle was funny though. The fact that there was a guy on the sidelines wearing Nike shoes when they're in Adidas
When they're
school,
in Adidas school, yeah.
and then all the people doing like the silhouette of the guy onto Stallions, and it was like a perfect matchup. That was hilarious, and they even the coaching staff was like, "Yeah, we have no idea who that guy is."
Yeah, I know, and that's what's funny too. It's like all this plausible deniability from every other angle of the story. They're like, we cannot account for the whereabouts of who this man was. Like everything's being answered like everybody's a CIA operative all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I probably had a blue little flick on my sunglasses reflecting in a stadium before. I'm not so sure I can confirm that that was in fact a Mission Impossible level camera.
yeah, dude. I gotta say, this guy's frequent flyer miles have to be absolutely insane, though. Because like the
Yeah,
amount of storylines that have been coming out where this guy's apparently been at every game ever, but also on the sidelines of Michigan. I want to know how he does it and how much sleep does this guy actually get?
because this guy's basically Santa Claus. He's like
Yeah,
traveling.
yeah, dude, for real, he's basically Jesus. He's
Yeah, I
football
mean,
Jesus. Like,
Connor Stallions is a name that I'm going to remember for a long time for no reason. That's
Remember
for
what
sure.
we remember we even said it at the beginning of like before college football even started. We talked about the fact that college football is great because of the storylines. And when we talked about the
Hmm.
Manti Te'o documentary, we said we can't wait for the next storyline. By God, did it deliver, dude? Like, this is one for the ages. Just super like secret agent man, Connor Stallions. My God, and it just had to be Harbaugh. It had to be tied to him. The weirdest guy in college football. It had to come from him. It makes too much sense.
And it's hilarious now because now they're sticking the cameras in his face even more. You know he
Yeah.
hates that. You know, and the whole time he's trying to deflect and say it's all about the kids and has nothing to do with whatever. Don't take away from the kids, and they're just going to zoom in on Harbaugh even closer. And everything about it is just, yeah. I mean, the storyline's great. I mean, I'm enjoying every bit of it. It's really nice to be on the other side of it, which is why I understand why everybody loves the FBI scandal and all of the stuff that came with that. It is fun to be on the other side of it and just make it fodder.
Yeah. It's great
But
not to be a
man,
Michigan fan for sure.
yeah, but I would just say like seriously, if I'm Michigan, I continue to just be like, no, we didn't do
Let it
this.
ride.
I mean, like
Yeah.
what are they gonna do?
Let it ride. Harbaugh's leaving after this season anyway. He's the future Chargers coach. We all know it. So just go out, collect your national championship that's going to be taken away from you in 5 years anyway. So
Yeah,
you
vacate the
know,
wins. Try to unsee what you saw. Like Reggie Bush didn't win the Heisman. I totally didn't. Which, by the way, did you see that? Like I was shout out to Cody Smith with the fantasy football guys. He was talking and he had tweeted out about USC and how they don't put the names on the back. I don't know.
uh-huh.
I like the names on the back. I think
I
it's
do
kind of
too.
weird when people are like, "Oh, it's about the name on the front." Like that's really cheesy to me.
Yeah,
So I've
way
never
too
really liked it.
traditional.
I also think it's a clean look to not have the name. So I do think from a uniform perspective, it just looks nice.
Yeah.
Uh, but Cody's point was that USC wasn't good enough to do that, and that just made me feel old. I'm not because I agree like right now today, but I'm like I saw some really, really, really good USC teams that
Yeah.
I knew exactly what the number meant. Like I know what number 5 at USC means. Like there's
Yes.
no doubt in my mind. It'll be burned in my brain forever. So that just I wasn't arguing with him. Wasn't just I just thought it was fun. I'm like, man, that makes me feel old, man. I was like,
Dude, absolutely. I do want to see what comes out of this week though with Penn State. If Penn State wins, does it kind of shut the haters up a little bit? Does it kind of put out the fire? If they lose, I want to know what games Connor Stallions has been to, that like what opponent has played Penn State this year, because that's ultimately what's going to happen. Like, people are going to find dots, connect them, and make a storyline out of it. And I'm going to be just eating popcorn, watching what happens.
yeah. And since Ben's not here, I think Michigan's a better football team, but I are
Yeah,
dealing
yeah,
with a mountain of distraction.
yeah.
So I think it's going to be an interesting game. Again, I mean, my eyes will be on that one. I could go either way. I mean I do think the storyline does detract from what Michigan's trying to do, or they rally behind it. I guess it's the thing. We're just guessing. Why am I even trying to do this?
To
It's
give
impossible.
to give a little bit of like Ben context too, though, I will say like, oh man, Drew Allard did have a great game this week though. Did you see that pass he threw in the end zone, man? Oh my God. That was my Ben impression. So,
Yeah.
but he did have a good game. Maybe he's catching on. I don't know. We'll see what happens this weekend. They're playing a really good defense, really great run game. Ben swears to God that this Penn State team can stop anybody not named Ohio State. So we'll just have to see, dude. I want to know if they do lose, how dead inside Ben will be. But I feel like just what he's given us the last couple of weeks, I don't think he'll care too much.
No, I think it'll be okay. I do know that Michigan does not have a Maserati Marv, so that's
That's
good
true.
news.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good news.
They do have a BMW Blake. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
Is
not
that what
sure
we're
what
gonna
they.
go with?
Yeah, Toyota Corolla.
A Bugatti
I got
Blake.
nothing. Yeah, I got.
Bugatti Blake. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I was like, I
Yeah.
think you're doing much better than I was doing.
Mercedes Wait, who's their quarterback? Is it McNamara? Or no, that's the guy that went to Iowa, huh?
Yeah, what is his name?
Great sports
I know. I
context
was
over
like, this is
here.
great. I like totally know his name too because he's on. I literally click. I like look at his name as a top 5 Heisman candidate every single week, and I
Yeah,
don't take him seriously. I'm like, no, he's not.
no. By the way,
He's good
the
though, but
Heisman candidates this year are weird. I see different pundits put out like different lists every week, and like Jaden Daniels being like number one in some circles. I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't see it. And then like Penix Jr. like for some reason is always like third, and I'm like, this guy's just out here lighting the world on fire, but he just gets no respect. What is it with the national media, by the way? Is it just simply the fact that Pac-12 kicks off at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time that like they have
I,
like 5 or 6 ranked teams and like people just don't give a shit?
I get. I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, I do think East Coast bias is a thing. I think it's like a multitude of things, right? It is like the late start. It's they just play like wide open football out there. It's just different. Like yeah, it's fun. Like I know there's talent. Like I know there's
Yeah.
points. I don't really get exactly what happens, but it's definitely a thing. And it seems like you pretty much have to go to USC to win otherwise. I mean, because they have no problem giving it to a USC quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Well,
never been an issue.
even the college playoff picture, like they released the rankings for the first time, and like Washington's the first one out. They're at 5, and I'm like, they're undefeated, and they've beaten like really good teams. Like they've beaten USC, they beat Oregon, right? Like I believe, like yeah,
Yeah,
they are a freaking wagon, and like they get no love at all. It's weird. I don't
Yeah, they're
understand
passing
it.
the test. I mean, it's the same thing you were talking about a couple weeks ago when you're like, hey, they're still like they're showing some chinks in the armor. Obviously, their defense doesn't look great,
Yeah,
but I mean, I don't know. It's against Oregon and like when they played the two best teams, they had to score a bunch of points. The national championships I've been watching, whether it's Alabama, Georgia, whoever, a lot of points are being scored in those games. So I think you have to score to actually win a national championship. I don't think you can
that's what it looks
just
like.
simply, yeah, I don't think you can just play defense. Like Alabama had that nice little stretch where it felt that way. I don't think that's the case anymore. And I think even Saban knows that.
Yeah, and like there's not a team in college football right now that's scoring as prolifically as Washington. So like I don't get why they get no love, but I mean Pac-12 is dying anyway, so I guess who cares, right? Like
Yeah, I guess that, I mean, that in this particular instance, I guess it's a little bit more understandable, but we've been battling this for years. No
oh
matter what happens, you just can't get the Arizona could be 30-1 and be sitting at 6, in the
yeah.
basketball season. So it,
All right,
it doesn't,
we'll lose to Princeton anyway. So
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah,
by the way though, kickoff did happen tonight. And they beat the living shit out of Morgan State. I watched a little bit of the game, just channel surfing between your game and the Arizona game. Boswell is going to be a problem. He's good. He's very very good. And then you throw Caleb Love out there. He's he's kind of a gunner, but very good. And they just got guys, dude. They have a very complete team this year. It's fun to watch.
I'd much rather have guys than not. This is probably as satisfied as I've been with the roster going into it since Tommy took over.
Yeah.
I just think he brought in the right kind of, I mean, again, you just bring in athletes, man. Like this is all I've
Yeah.
said is just I just thought the other teams weren't athletic enough. That was really my only complaint, like in terms of like who he was bringing to the table. He
Yeah.
came, he inherited some athletes, and had no problem trotting those guys out, of course. But now he's finally brought in some guys on his own that are just much better on the wing. They're going to move better laterally. They're going to change the game up and down vertically. Like it's
Yep.
just a completely different type of squad. And 63 points in the first half is tells you they're very capable.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it
Very
plays out. But
very good shooting team for sure, but they were getting to the bucket quite a bit. I was impressed with Larson. He finally looked aggressive after 4 years. He was getting to the
yeah,
rack a little bit. But Ballo had a good game. I love Ballo. Like
I do too.
he'll
Everybody loves
forever
Paulo.
he'll forever have a place in my heart. KJ Lewis, the freshman, he's looking like a good find, little 4-star kid out of El Paso.
Really good
Um,
size.
and I'm not gonna lie, I know you're not a Euro guy. Hesse's not a Euro guy. But damn it, if that center from Lithuania, the 7'2" guy,
Mount Krivas.
he's fun. Like he could end up being one of my favorite guys because like he did a little like Euro where he like passed it under the bucket and gave it to KJ Lewis, I think, or somebody, and like they got a bucket out of it. Like I can get behind a Euro with that much size that can kind of move around a little bit.
And look, we can get behind Euros. No one was more excited for Lauri Markkinen than I was.
Yeah.
I saw that mixtape and I knew what we had coming in, and I
Yeah.
was absolutely thrilled. Some grainy footage and having 5 grainy tapes to go through when like that's all that's coming in the recruiting class was what was
Mm-hmm.
concerning me.
Tough
I was
look.
like, I
Yeah.
need some real tape of real guys, not grainy footage. So it's just good to see that mix. I think having these European players, as you can slow play and develop them, is going to be a really nice mix to bringing in some transfers and then just recruiting traditional high school dudes.
I will say though, there's still a couple guys on the Wildcats that I just have no idea who they are. Like
Sure,
what
it's early. It's okay.
Baro Vikinen or whatever. Like when he was out there, I was just like,
Billy B.
this is literally just a generic European guy. I've never heard of him. I've no idea what he's capable of. Like I bet he
Yeah,
can
dude. He's
shoot.
yeah, he's like European Pistol Pete, man.
Okay.
Yeah, Philly B, he's got a nice floor game, a little flashy, looks to hunt his own shot. But I think he's got a lot of skill development to work on. I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of minutes later in the season from Philly B, but glad to see he got some run out there tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll grow to love him. But I mean, dude, homie's just bringing in
For sure.
guys. I have no idea who they are.
No, but he does, and he actually does look like if you were going to ask artificial intelligence to make a European basketball player, it like might spit out Philly B.
Yeah, no, like if you played 2K before, or if you played NBA Live back in the day, and you'd have the random like generic computer generated white guy, that is who that guy was. I
Yeah,
took
for
one look at
sure.
him, I'm like, you're not real.
Yeah,
Like to quote that lady
100%.
in the plane, that motherfucker right there is not
I know, and
real.
it turns out I guess she's normal, right? You see, she
Yeah,
came on. Pardon, I guess she's just a regular lady, just
yeah.
having a
Had
weed.
a
Which
bad
all that
moment.
stuff was so funny, by the way. I'd
Yeah,
like tip my cap to those guys. Like everything that they played with that, the whole game, long game that they played with her, absolutely hysterical.
yeah, yeah. They're great at what they do.
Troll gods, those little suckers. Yeah,
But yeah, dude, Cats look good. Michigan State almost did they lose?
I think they did.
Yeah, I think they did
I,
too.
I started to see some text hit, and so I think so. As like kind of as we were getting started here, and I kind of floated away from it. Was doing some other stuff too, but I think they may have,
Yeah.
which that feels like very Michigan State early in the season, though.
Yeah, that's the
I don't know
thing,
why
dude.
we still overvalue them like every year now. Like I feel like their prime is past.
Here's the thing though. Like they're still a team that's probably going to get to the tournament.
For sure they will.
Still probably make a little bit of noise, but yeah, they're not going to go anywhere. But losing first game of the season to James Madison, by the way, what an incredible program they are running out there in
I
Virginia.
know, right? Yeah,
Their
I know.
football team just smashing people. Their basketball team goes out and beats Izzo first game of the season. Are they the new Coastal? Is this just who
I was
they
gonna
are?
say, I'm like, are they the new Chanticleers? I was like, do we have a new Belle of the Ball? I
Yeah,
do
dude.
love that there is some program that just rotates in and like just takes the void. Like some little program out there is just greedy enough.
Yeah, dude. And it just so happens to have an alumni of PFT commenter. So like, we just get to hear about it all the time. But shout out to them. I think they're the Dukes, maybe. Does that sound correct?
I think so.
Yeah, testing my ball knowledge right now. So
Yeah,
go
we're gonna roll
Dukes.
with it for sure. We're calling them that until told otherwise.
Yeah, I know it's a bulldog. That is their mascot with like a crown on it, I believe. Just again, testing my knowledge here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hit us up in the DMs, hit us up on Twitter. But I think that might be it. But yeah, what a athletic program they have running out over there. But yeah, I think you're right. I think Izzo's just kind of he's reaching his Bayheim like
That's what it
the
feels
clock's
like.
hit midnight a little bit,
Yeah, I still respect Michigan State, but I just think getting really excited about Michigan State, we're kind of past.
Yeah. Has anybody checked Magic Johnson's Twitter to see what he has said about the loss? Because he's probably going to just say
It's a good point. He probably is
something
really
very
drilling
along
it
this.
in. Team could have boxed out more. We like when shots go in as opposed to when they don't.
Yeah.
Tough loss.
He's the best because he just like, what a player he was. But like, my God, the worst sports takes of all time. And now that he's a owner of the Commanders, like it's transitioning into another sport I love dearly. And just seeing like what he has to say every day is just incredible. Like
Do
I
we think
think
he's like in on the joke or
no,
no?
no, no, not at all. Not even a little bit. I think that's just him. One of my
I think it
favorite.
definitely had started, but like, is he still not
I
in on the
joke.
joke?
I
I
think I
guess it's
think this
like
is who
because
he
I'm having
is,
a
dude.
hard time believing at this. Like when he still does it, I'm like, someone like has whispered to him, and he's just like keeping the bit going now.
He's got a lot of John Madden in him, dude. Just I think
Mm,
one of my favorite ones this year is the Commanders lost. And he's like, if the Commanders just needed to score more points, and they would have pulled out the win. Well, you're not wrong, Magic. You're not wrong, dude. Like, way to put it out there, put it out in the universe for us all to see. But I just checked his Twitter. He has not commented yet.
yet, okay.
Got to throw those alerts on because it's going to be
I
coming first thing in the
yeah,
morning.
I
When
do need to turn his alerts on.
when he wakes from his slumber, we'll soon find out what Magic or Irvin Johnson has to say about his alma mater. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, we got to get that out there. As soon as we hear word, guys, we'll try to do what we can to circulate that. Make sure you get the information. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah,
He is delivering the news.
Yeah. Outside of that, just sticking on the court. NBA's back. It's been a weird season so far. Suns don't look great without Booker or Beal. Duh.
Big
Um,
shock. Yeah,
wouldn't freak out if I was a Suns fan. This is just what it is. The beginning of the season. There's 82 games. Chill out. They'll be fine. Get your lumps in now. Just make sure that Kevin Durant does not overexert himself in a 40-point, effort win against the Detroit Pistons. Get those two healthy. Take your time. You'll be a wagon when they come back. Right? I mean, that's the right way to think about it.
100%. I think anybody who's hitting the panic button at this point is absolutely Looney Tunes. I
Yeah.
know it's. I know there's a lot of pressure now that there's an NBA Cup, whatever that means.
Yeah. What is that, by the
I don't
way?
know. I don't know. It's just like there's like a different court, and then my buddy told me like, hey, it's like the NBA Cup, and then he's like, what? The NBA Cup's over? I guess like some games count towards the NBA Cup and some don't. So some are
So
pod play, some aren't. Maybe.
this is what I've
I'm only
gathered.
putting their context clues at this point.
This is what I've gathered. It's the NBA's attempt at like copying the Champions League from
Hmm.
like, soccer, where you have group play. Okay. So you have, brackets of four. Whoever wins out of the group after so many games advances to like, you know, I think it's like 2 games you're out kind of thing, kind of like how Champions League is. But I'm going to be honest with you. Poor marketing by the NBA. Had no idea what was happening this season. I remember hearing about it, that it was going to be a thing. Had no clue it was going to be a thing until it actually happened. Until the tweets started coming out about the courts and how ridiculous the courts are and how just
Yeah, I'm aware of
Las
the court.
Vegas they are. Yeah. I do like our court, by the way. The whole El Valle thing. Like, I think that's cool.
Ours is
Um,
much better than most.
yes, it
A
is.
lot of teams getting a raw deal on this court.
It's very Boise State forward, which
Hmm.
can work in your favor. Or it can
Good way
go
of putting
Eastern
it.
Washington, where you have a red field and people are like, "My God, my eyes hurt," and I think that's largely what's happened. But again, had no idea it was happening until like I looked at the app on ESPN. And it was just like, "Oh wow, like so and so beat this team," and it says NBA in-game season, whatever, in-game tournament. I'm like, "Oh, that's here." Had no clue. So
Yeah.
poor marketing, Silver.
Nobody knows what's going on. I do think it's a fun running joke with my friends now. Like, I don't know, does this
Yeah,
count for the NBA Cup? Does it not? I mean, it's a fun.
it
It's got the people talking about the NBA. It's maybe it's working.
It quite literally means nothing, by the way. Like it doesn't affect positioning in the playoffs. It does not help you in the regular season. I think I read somewhere that like the winners of the tournament get like 500 grand each, which
Yeah, there's money involved. Yeah.
not a lot though. Not a lot is not as much as you'd think, right? So maybe the Suns just sit this one out, just run out the bench unit. I don't know. That's what I would do in the meantime. I
I
would not play Kevin Durant in a single one of these games.
no one this no like I don't think the needle's going to move. There's already been some comments from players like going. I've seen some guy. I can't wish I could remember who it was, but he was basically saying, I don't understand what's going on. Until you guys asked me, I didn't even realize this was like an NBA Cup game or what have you. I guess we should mention, even though I'm sure everybody's exhausted by this guy, but we probably should mention James Harden actually did manage to get himself
Oh
traded for
yeah.
the 9 millionth time in as many years.
And
So
then proceeded to burn down the city of Philly, saying that he isn't a system player. He is the system.
he is the system. Yeah, that was bold.
What a hero. How
I
brave.
mean, this guy is unbelievable, man. I did see a statistic with him too that made me laugh. That he is, for 3 of the last 4 years now, he's been clocked as the slowest average player on the court. Which, if you
Checks
watch
out.
Chris Paul here in Phoenix, like that is like hard to believe. A guy who you would literally watch him, cross that time stripe right at the 8 second count every single time, and you're going,
Yeah.
"Wow, James Harden's actually playing at a slower pace
Hmm.
than this 40-year-old man."
That team's going to burn to the ground, right? Are
Yeah,
we? Yeah. Like
there's no way. There's no
like
way.
the moment that like Westbrook or Harden just sit there and dribble the shit out of the ball, and then Kawhi Leonard's in the corner just like breaking his ankle, and then Paul George like tears his hamstring, just like going, "What the hell?" Like
Yep.
it's gonna burn to the ground.
I've heard like people having the conversation of like Paul George needs to lead this team.
Yeah,
Just think
that's
about
tough.
that. Think
That's
about that.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's no way. I mean, literally 3 years ago when he was playing last, it was playoff P, and there's no way this guy can lead a team. That's why he needs to go find help. Well, he's got 3 helpers now, but Paul George is supposed to be this is going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
On the plus side, Clippers fans, remember Ballmer said that new arena has more bathrooms, more toilets than any other arena in all of basketball. So
I can't make fun
what's
of him
not
for
to
that
love?
though. That's an innovator because
I know it's
anybody that's been to a game before, that is a problem typically.
yeah, no, I mean, look, Ballmer's an innovator. There's no doubt, man. He's taken, it's not a 3-star team now. It's a 4-star team with more bathrooms than anyone else in the league. The
Yeah. Well,
Clippers have
let
passed
me
the
tell you.
Lakers. You heard it here first.
Let me tell you, you're going to need a lot of bathrooms in that arena when you're watching that team just struggle to do anything, and then you have to run to the restroom to vomit because that's exactly what's going to happen. It is going to make your eyes bleed, and you're going to have to go to the toilet.
I would buy season tickets to watch that team.
Would you? Wow.
Yeah.
Just to watch it burn?
Just hate watch. Yeah, just like 100%. Because, I mean, the idea of Harden and Kawhi coexisting is like so hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Him and Russ. I mean, like I can interplay any one of those dynamics, and it's all just so funny to me. Like someone ends up killing Harden.
Yeah,
They
I
just
mean
have to.
Harden pisses off somebody everywhere he goes. So I don't know. Do we finally get some emotion out of Kawhi? That would be a development for sure.
Because that's that's the thing is I think I would just watch Kawhi and the faces he's making at James. Like
Yeah.
I think I could spend one whole game doing that, and then like come back the next night excited to see like how does Paul George look at James,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yep.
like how does James look at Russ? Because
Yep.
is there still like I don't even know what their relationship is at this point, but it
No clue. It
has
can't be
to be
great.
weird. It can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just no way. There's just no way that it's normal.
No.
That's
Yeah.
it's incredible that has happened. And the Sixers look fine without James, by the way.
Oh yeah, they look
Like
very
not that
good.
they're great, but I mean they played the Wizards might be the worst team in basketball history. Jordan Poole, though, that's not going to stop him from chucking and throwing balls off the backboard for
Mm-hmm.
dunks down 30. He is like living, dude. He is having so much fun without Draymond. He's going to be on a 75 loss team, and he's going to have the time of his life.
Yeah. I thought it was also hilarious. I don't know if you caught this, but there was a game, I think it might have been the preseason, where Jordan Poole was doing Jordan Poole things where he was just like dribbling the shit out of the ball and then threw up just some stupid shot. And Denny Adviji or Advia or
Yeah,
whatever, the
yeah,
Israeli kid, like
yeah.
throws his hands up like, what the hell? And then the next day they extended Denny. So like that team has no clue what it's doing. Like none at all.
Well, that's why I thought Denny was mad too, because like Denny is like he was on that last year of his deal, and he's probably going like, I need open 3-point shots. I need to prove I can knock down open looks. And Jordan's
Yeah.
like, I got this thing on a string, bro. Spin,
And
shoulder
when
shake.
and when it's not Jordan, it's Kuzma who's doing the exact same stupid shit. So and neither one of them play defense, by the way. So
Oh, that is a prime terrible team. I mean, that is like as good of a terrible team as you can have. Like because they do have like those really quality guys that do love themselves enough to and have lack so much self-awareness that they'll just be awful and chuck 30 shots a night. Those two guys
yeah.
will get their 60 chucks between the two of them, and they'll lose 70 games. Like
But
no
guess
joke.
what? They're not the worst team in the league right now. You know who is, right? The Grizzlies
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they haven't.
have
Yeah,
not won a game yet. No,
not won a game.
they
Yeah,
are god awful. Which I get it. Not having Jaw tough. He can't stay out of his own way. But the fact that they cannot do anything right, like what the hell happened?
I blame FanDuel for that Desmond Bain graphic. Did you see that when that was
No.
circulating? FanDuel put out a
Oh wait,
graphic and it's like the 3-on-3 thing, and it was like,
yes.
who's gonna win? And it's like Barkley, Akeem, and
Mm-hmm.
John Stockton
Did see
versus, and then it
that.
was like Jordan, so and so, and Desmond Bain.
And
Somehow, like
somebody was
the
like,
list is all great.
Somebody was
Yeah,
like, Desmond Bain made this, didn't he?
yeah, exactly. Because I feel like they were just doomed after that. I don't, but that is tough for Memphis. I mean, obviously they're missing Ja, but
They
they
don't,
got to be better than that.
dude. Yeah, I don't understand how they're this bad. I mean, yeah, they're missing Jaw. They added D Rose, which I thought that was going to be a good pickup.
Adams is hurt too, right?
Yeah, Adams is hurt. You know, Jaren still refuses to rebound, which is hilarious.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
Just
Our boy Da is rebounding. He's not doing anything else, but he's rebounding.
he is bad. Like I don't want to gloat. I don't want to be that guy.
I don't think you
But
can gloat with the way Nurk looks.
Nurk
or
did
the
get
other guys for that matter.
Nurk did
I
get
don't think there's a
murdered.
lot of
Yeah,
gloating that can be done just yet. We might get to eventually, but I think it's pretty tough to gloat right now.
I will say though, I may have been right about the whole Aiton's just inner demons just withholding him from fulfilling his potential. Because my God, that guy got a lot going on upstairs.
No, I look. I did the the hardest thing for me to see with him was him immediately responding to reporters like, "What do you mean? I'm going to be dominating?" And I was like, "Okay, this guy's like completely off the fucking deep end. Like, dude, this guy is." I was like, "He is unrecoverable, and like ship him to the Wizards now. Like, just let him. Like,
This dude
dude, like."
belongs on the funny farm,
You're gonna
bro.
have
He's
so much fun with
gone.
Jordan Poole, bro. Like, just get to know him. You guys are gonna be getting traded together a
Yeah.
lot the rest of your career. Two
Uh,
$30 million contracts just getting passed around the league.
then unfollowing both Katie and Booker immediately.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. His exit left a lot to be desired, and I'm not rooting against the guy, but he made it a hell of a lot harder to root for him. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? Nurk is also making it a lot harder to root for him too. So
Nurk's not looking great. I do think like Nurk is specifically. I mean, like the whole idea is the fit and all that stuff, and no one can really be judged until we get all these guys back.
yes.
So we'll see. But yeah, asking Nurk to do more is definitely not it. Like you
No,
don't want to ask Nurk to do any more.
him as a number two is a rough look, but he was never meant to be a number two, you know?
Yeah.
So I will
I'm just
say Suns bench like can be like either very good or very bad, but Okogie's been very good. I'll give Okogie that. He's been very fun to watch.
the guys that have been 4, 5, and 6 in this rotation that should be 5, 6, 7
Yeah.
look good. So I
Yeah.
think that's like promise. Like this team does seem to be a little deeper, or at least as deep as we could have hoped, I think.
Yeah.
So it seems like relatively fine. I mean, it's definitely not great, but it's definitely better. But yeah, thank you for coming to our Sensible Eight and talk. If you still get in the mentions, it's still horrific, absolutely horrific conversation. Suns Twitter is an abomination when it comes to
Yeah.
Aiton. Uh, People will still get in there and just be like, "Well, at least we don't have to watch Aiton shoot threes." As I watch Nurt go 1 for 7, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like,
Same
you guys
shit,
don't even.
buddy.
Yeah, I was like, you don't even know. I mean, like, there's plenty of complaints to have, but like, that's not it. I'm like, just why can't you just say the thing that you should be saying? Be
Yeah.
sensible. So I'm glad I have you because if I just was having this conversation against the wall, I'd already be dead,
So
basically.
same thing as the message board conversation earlier. Going to the Trailblazers subreddit is also hilarious.
Yes,
That's a
yeah,
fun read. If you haven't done that as a Suns fan, go ahead, take a gander. They are turning very quickly on Aiton. And that is, as somebody that was not an Aiton defender, it's fun to watch.
yeah. That's going to be there. Yep. I haven't checked on Tyler. We should see how he's doing out there.
Yeah, I
But
was
I'm
going to
sure he
shoot
has
him a
some words
text.
already. Yeah.
I was going to shoot him a text because of the Seahawks game, but didn't get around to it.
Classy move to let that one go. He knows what the score was.
Yeah, he's got a phone. You're right. So, Tyler, if you're
Yeah.
listening, feel free to text one of us. So,
Yeah.
we'd love to know your thoughts on Aiton, just as an insider of the Trailblazers organization. So,
And
cool,
PNW
man.
check in.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think we covered it all. I thought this was going to be a short episode without Benny Diamond Hands, but you know what? When you don't talk about Penn State for 30 minutes, you get to talk about a lot of other things. So, hopefully, our listeners appreciated it this week and kind of back on the train with a few other sports and not just some East Coast bias. If you enjoyed it today, go ahead and click that subscribe button on YouTube, or if you're listening audibly, go ahead and hit that follow or subscribe button on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to us at. And then make sure you're following us on social media. John's killing it with the Twitter game as usual. We have eclipsed the 4,000 follower mark on Instagram, so we appreciate all those follows. Our TikTok's been popping off, getting a lot of views on there, so we appreciate you guys on there as well. And then we're on Facebook. We're on basically every social media. So feel free to follow us, find us on there, and then just share our podcast with somebody that you think would appreciate listening to it. Shoot them the video, whatever you guys want. But we appreciate all of you. Shout out to our tasty dude. I'm not going to call him Tasty Boy this week. He
I
did
know.
share our podcast, and that
I had
was
to send the apology right away, man. I was like, hey,
it was a tough look.
I called you a tasty boy, and he said, hey, when you're talking tasty, you got to be really careful about the words you choose next. So wise
Yeah.
words from the tasty
Maybe not even tasty dude. That's also bad. So
I
I
know you can't.
apologize
No, you can't say
proactively.
anything. That's what I mean. You just have to say it the other way. The man
Listen,
who represents. Yeah.
our guy from Tasty, shout out to you. Rangers
Shout out
did win the
Hooks.
World Series. So again,
Congrats.
extending the olive branch if you want to jump on the show and listen and state your case why the Rockets beating the Kings today by an insane amount, or maybe if you're a Luka fan, why he's so much better than we think he is, or maybe you want to talk NFL, or maybe you want to talk Big 12. Hey, come on here, bro. You're just sponsoring the show. That's all. So we extend that olive branch to you. Other than that, guys, we will let you go. Have a great rest of your week. We have so many sports going on, so much to talk through. Make sure you follow along next week. Henny, you got anything you want to give the listeners?
No, you nailed it. You hit it all this time. I got nothing left. You fired them all off right there.
Yeah.
Perfect,
Well,
perfect ending.
make sure you guys, if you're going on a golf outing, hit up tasty.com. Go get your flavored teas. They taste delicious and they're great teas too. So with that, guys, we'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.